Tuesday, November 12th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
Over Skype, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, couches? Yeah, couches.
Let's do this.
So yesterday, Emily and I just stayed in the city and hung out at Scott's ultra-modern swank apartment.
Yes, the luxuries of ultra-modernness are plenty.
Goddamn.
For example, dishwashing.
Not even just that.
It's automatic. You push a button. That's it.
It was just,
It's like Judy Jetson.
it was stylish and cool and in the city, and the worst part wasn't like the worst part. I have worst stuck in my head from when we reviewed D&D Online. I get back home to Beacon like today, and suddenly Beacon felt 1,000 times more provincial than it used to.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
It was like, the thing is, I was gonna buy a house in Beacon, and I'm still like vaguely exploring that, but. For those of you who haven't been following the forum and the deeper details of the Rim and Scott experience, the house I was trying to buy, the dude I was buying it from totally skipped town. Like, completely. And the bank is like, fuck. We can't sell it to you until we foreclose on this guy. Foreclosure is going to take forever and be a pain in the ass.
Why does it take forever? I mean, you go to it should be right, in the perfect world. You go to the judge, you just show them some evidence like, look, this guy skipped town, we're a bank. We're the bank. And the judge says, he bangs the hammer and he says, the house is taken away from that guy.
The thing is, there's a lot of protection for people who are like a family living in a house who like suddenly come on tough times to make sure that they don't immediately get foreclosed on. They have some time.
How about this? Once a week, right, for like an hour, the judge drives around town with the banks if they need to, and they show them the houses that no one is in, and they say, "Judge, give us this house." And the judge bangs his hammer on the grass and says, "Okay, it's yours."
Then I come back, I'm like, I was on vacation, Jesus. So I bailed, and I got my 20 grand deposit back, and
you lost some monies though. You paid that inspector.
I lost a couple grand worth of like paying my lawyer, and
it's like a whole rent. Okay.
Luckily, this lawyer, because he was so sure he could get the house, I had him on retainer, and I only paid him like this initial fee, and I only had to pay him all the rest of the money if I got the house. So he basically did all this work for nothing. Same with my realtor.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
She worked for me for.
She's a nice lady.
She worked for me.
She's gonna get nothing.
Yep, and she worked for me for over a year, and like did a lot of work on my behalf.
And she got absolutely no money.
Nothing.
It sucks.
Yeah.
You should give her a present or something.
Yeah, the thing is, I had like all the, my whole thing, the Horatio thing. I haven't been on an FNPL lately, so I can't bring up the whole Horatio Hornblower metaphor. Horatio Nelson. But the idea that, the people who are successful are the ones who know exactly how much to leave to chance. You wait for that Horatio moment, and whenever there's a Horatio moment, you make the big move. And you otherwise never make a big move unless you're forced to, and you defer all decisions until you cannot defer them any further.
That is precisely correct.
That's like the game theory way to succeed at everything.
Yeah, but you should send like go to the Flowers website.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something for her.
Be like, I am sorry that you worked all this time and got nothing.
Yep.
Like, imagine if you worked at your job all year on like a project, and then at the end, they just decided not to use it, and then they didn't pay you, and they took basically, if you worked half a day on it for a year, they just took half your money away.
So pretty
That's
much
what happened.
I had two other Horatio movements, and one was buy another house in Beacon because their prices dropped even more, and it got to the point to where I could basically buy one of those McMansions, like a big one, straight up, just no trouble at all. So I sent her a list of like, these are the 9 houses near the train station that are all nice and mansiony that I would like to look at. And a week later, she came back. I just got the full info yesterday, and she's like, yeah, 7 of those are short sales, and the last one is currently in foreclosure.
Well, that means the last one, might be out of foreclosure soon enough.
The last one had been converted into 3 apartments.
Uh-oh.
That's not what I need.
You could live in one and rent 2.
Yeah, but look
it'd
at
it'd be kind of fun to live in an interesting.
I did that though. I did that for a while. Remember when I lived in Fishkill in the box?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if you own, it would be more
If I owned it, if I'm the jolly landlord, I come home and I'm like, "Sup, Jim? Living in apartment X, waiting for that
No,
rent
no,
money."
no. I mean, you live in all three of them at once.
Huh? I have like, that'd be weird.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be
Yeah.
real interesting.
But
You have
basically, it's
three
all like this
kitchens,
gigantic
three
pain in the
bathrooms.
ass, and it got to the point to where it was basically impossible to buy a house in Beacon without drama. So I was like, all right, I got money now. Let's just look like further down, closer to the city. Buy a house in like one of the other more fancy
Yeah,
towns.
look at the Peekskill. Look at the
In Peekskill, a
maybe
house,
Dobbs Ferry. Dobbs Ferry. Look there.
a house half the size of the one I was looking at cost more than twice as much.
Why don't you check out some Dobbs Ferry?
I did. I looked around.
It's apparently starting to get happening.
Yeah, so I looked around and that was just fail, 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 fail. And then I looked on the other train lines and it's actually.
Why don't you look in Connecticut? Look in like Stamford or.
I don't want to take the Connecticut trains.
Rich people live there.
Yeah, but those trains of Metro North, notice how they're the least reliable.
Well, that's because they have a lot of the Connecticut trains use the overhead cables.
The catenaries are actually better. The delays are due to other issues. With like where the tracks are.
The catenary, the thing is, the catenary trains, the layout of the interiors is far less efficient, and they're less big, so there's a lot less seating and there's more standing.
Well, except for
and
some of the
they're
newer
much more
ones.
crowded, it's impossible to get parking, and when there is parking, it's much more expensive. And the only other thing about them is that those catenary trains have bar cars.
I was about to say they have the bars in the cars. I mean, when I take the train now,
like on the Beacon train, it's like you got to buy your alcohol and then get on the train.
every now and then I see someone like buying like 5 beers or like a bunch of wine and then getting on the train.
Whereas in the Connecticut train, that guy that is standing at the in the terminal,
There's just a
he's on the
bar.
train.
It'd be bad though, because if I had a bar on the train, I would pretty much hang out in that bar every day.
That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They go, and there's basically the seating in there is like these little circles. It's like sort of like a lounge, and there's a little tiny table in the middle of the circly bit, and then and you can also sit at the bar and you can stand.
Yep. So all that aside, my other Horatio plan, other than buying a house at the bottom of like the economic downturn, was to buy land and sit on it and pay it off because you can buy land really cheaply, and then build my own goddamn mansion on it because I'm the goddamn Batman.
And you can't no one's foreclosing on any dirt.
I know. So I found this lot, and it's basically, remember when I first found out that you could climb Mount Beacon and there's all that stuff up there? When I first found that out is because I wandered up this random trail. The lot is basically the 2 acres in front of and including part of that trail. It's got FiOS, it's got electricity, city water, city sewer, gas, everything.
They have FiOS on the mountain, but they don't have FiOS over near the car dealers.
They have it here now.
Oh, really?
If I was staying here, I'd get it.
Well, you're renting, so it's hard to get FiOS if you don't own it, because that means they have to install a bunch of shit, and they might not, I'm sure Mary wouldn't care, but I mean, it's like...
Yeah, but so I'm all excited. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Or at least I'm going to check it out. So I get, my realtor to check it all out, and everything's good. It's like, this is the perfect lot for you, Rim. You can build your mansion. I got a builder to check it out, and they're like, yeah, this is perfect building. You can have like a super big, completely dry basement and everything. The city was like, yeah, you can subdivide it. You could build an apartment building and a house. So I'm like, hot shit. And it was only $150,000. The taxes before you build something on it was like $1,000 a year.
I would build a house, and then I would build a garage, a 2-car garage, and then I would build like a whole thing on top of the 2-car garage that was basically like a space of awesomeness, like just one big room.
Treehouse?
No, I wouldn't put like a kitchen or anything in there. It'd just be one big room, and it would be like the special room, like
So I'm like, all right, pull the trigger. Get me everything I need.
Maybe build a skywalk to it or something.
Get me everything I need to buy this land.
All right.
And I got word today. She's like, somebody already bought that land 2 weeks ago. So I looked at all the other land, and all the other land sucks. It's like $40,000 for a half acre way far away from the train station. Or $40,000. I found one. It was like $30,000. And it was like a nice lot, and it was near the train. And you know why I couldn't buy it? There's a gigantic rock on the property, like too big, and so it would have been so expensive to move that rock to build a
Why don't you
house.
smash the rock?
You know how expensive it is to pay people to smash a rock? You can't just dynamite
Why
it.
don't you make a house such that the rock is in the house?
That would be badass. However, that would cost like at $600,000 or $700,000 to build because
Why don't you build the house such that the rock is a structurally integral part of the house?
Dwarf Fortress?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I might just fucking move into the city. God
That's
damn
right.
it.
15 minutes to work when the
No,
subway.
no.
It was funny
Actually,
because like I'm like, oh, 15 minutes to work, but I got on the subway with Emily this morning,
yep.
and it was one of those days where the subway just like is like traffic something. I'm
Scott,
moving.
it took me 31 minutes to get to work
Oh, it sucks.
because I got to take the N down to the 7. Then I can get on the 7 Express that goes right to Grand Central.
Well, yeah, you could do that, or
The thing is,
you can take
of
it
my
to
half
59th
hour,
Street and then take the 456.
it's a lot faster to take the 7 Express because a 7 Express goes by like every 3 minutes.
Yeah, they're very crowded though.
There was almost no one on mine.
Really?
Yeah, I had a seat the whole way. The only delay I really had was that I didn't realize I was at Grand Central on the 7, so I ended up taking it to Bryant Park.
Oh, good job.
I was like, where the fuck am I? And then I get out and I'm in Bryant Park, so I had to walk back across.
Yeah.
But then, basically, most of my waiting was because I didn't look at the schedule of the N train. So I just walked to the subway, and I got there like as an N left. So I had to wait like
That happens to me every goddamn day.
I had to wait like
walk up-
12 minutes for another N to come.
As I'm walking to the subway every goddamn day, one pulls up, and I'm like, just like, well, fuck. And then I have to go and wait on the platform for the maximum possible amount
The
of time.
worst thing in the world is when you're walking up to a subway and you hear the train like coming in. And you're like, fuck. You're fumbling with your Metro card. You're like smash it into the machine and bend it, and you can't get in. You're rushing, and you always have to make that decision of do I run or do I just give the fuck up?
I basically never run because why am I in a hurry to get to work?
You know, that was my philosophy when I used to drive to the Bronx every day. Like, I'd see people speeding, and I was like, why the fuck would I ever speed on the way to work?
Speed on the way home.
Yep. But, like, anytime the road was blocked, which happened kind of frequently because of, basically the Sawmill Parkway is, like, the second worst road in the world.
Yep. The thing is,
I would just, like, pull off to, like, a diner and eat breakfast. I wouldn't even bother trying to get to work.
The thing is, I think the phenomena of walking up to the subway and it pulls up and then you're like, damn it, and you can't get on it because you're just like it's 30 seconds too late.
Yep.
That phenomena is completely because these are, above ground subways. They're up, elevated rail tracks. If the subway was underground, you wouldn't see that it was coming into the station until you were already down there. So you wouldn't even know if a train left like 10 seconds before you got down there.
But at the same time, like in Grand Central, for example, many times I'll like be walking like toward that stairway down to the 6, and I'll hear it coming in, and it's like, well,
how do you know that's not a 4 or 5?
Well, the thing is, whatever one I want, I hear one coming in. So then there's a decision of I have to think, do I run? Is that the train I want?
I basically never run.
And then you can kind of peek your head around as you're walking down the stairs, and you see like, it's the 4 I wanted. Doors are closing. Fuck. Here comes the 6. Gonna take forever.
I just never run. I don't care anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, even if I lose 15 minutes, that's nothing compared to what I lost in Beacon. So it's like, oh, who gives a shit?
Yep. The only thing is, I can't.
I'll listen to 15 minutes of a podcast. I can watch a whole TED talk while I'm on the platform.
I'll have to read more and watch more like portable media, but I can't really use the laptop or do anything intensive on the commute because it's so.
No, you can read a book or you can listen to something. You can watch a video on the iPhone.
And not because it's so short. It's really not that short. It's because there are like multiple interruptions along the way. It's like gotta walk, gotta sit, gotta walk again, sit again, walk again, sit again, walk, and then I'm at work.
Yep. And you also have, even if you're standing on the subway, you got to dodge people.
Yep.
That are trying to get on and off the train.
So we'll see.
Let them in,
Maybe I'll just move into your building. I'm gonna start looking at apartments.
There's other buildings around here. There's actually a big building that's real fancy looking. They're still building it across the street. You could just wait for it.
Yeah, I might. But
fancy.
The big thing I got to do now is my original plan was we get all this furniture. We were kind of just like deferring decisions because if I bought a house, I would just buy like my half of all of it because house needs furniture. I don't know what we're gonna do with that gigantic ass kitchen table and like all the like my gigantic wine cabinet. I'm not bringing that to an apartment in the city.
Oh shit! Yeah. What are you
might
do with the bed? I might just sell.
That bed will fit. I mean, it's a queen size bed. It's the same size.
Oh, my bed.
Oh yeah. give it to someone. I don't know. Maybe I'll have
We got to sell, I think.
Well, first we might have to have a front row crew who wants our shit party.
Yeah. Something.
Actually,
a lot of this stuff, I think we should put out on the lawn in Beacon and be like free.
Actually, Yuko and Ananth and all them might be able to use your little bed because they got a lot of extra space.
They want it?
Maybe.
They can have it.
I'll see if they want it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We also got to figure out what to do for New Year's now.
I would give it to them for free, but I kind of need monies.
This will be the first year in a long time that I have not been the host of the New Year's party. I have to nominate someone to carry on the tradition at least for 1 year until we figure out. I'm thinking with money next year, we should just rent like a fucking ballroom or something in the city.
Yeah. So speaking of in the city, right? So
in the summer, in the city, in the summer, in the city.
More and more of my house.
Down summer in the city. Okay.
More and more of my house shit is taken care of, so I'm gonna start doing some city stuff that I could not do before.
Yeah.
So Boxy announced today that they are finally making a Boxy box, a piece of hardware.
Ooh, like the Roku.
Money. Yes. So there's going to be some sort of release, launch, something in Brooklyn, December something. You can go with the Boxy blog, and there's a post about it. So I RSVP'd for it, so I'm going to go check it out and hopefully get one. Because I think if I had one of those, I don't need to buy a Mac Mini. And if it's really cheap, like $100, even if it's $200, it's like, well, no need to buy a $600 Mac Mini. A Boxy box does everything I need.
Yeah.
End of story.
Oh, you know what else we can foist stuff off on if they're willing to drive to this old house is the listeners. I know a lot of you listeners are poor, like punk college kids. We can sell you stuff.
If anyone needs like beds or a desk that consists of cinder blocks and a piece of wood.
Or a TV.
Or an old dresser.
I remember when you bought that cinder block thing, like you think like the cinder block desk is the cheapest option. It was actually slightly expensive because you got the nice cinder blocks and the nice piece of wood.
Well, I got like 6 nice cinder blocks and like a big nice piece of wood, and then I had to I sanded and stained the piece of wood, and
it was not that much cheaper than the desk I just bought. However, it was actually a lot nicer in the end because I bought the shittiest fucking desk.
Yeah, no.
Remember that desk at RIT? We tried to move it and the top just like fell off and cracked in two.
Well, remember the desk that I bought at RIT?
Oh yeah, that thing was legendary.
This new IKEA desk though is pretty good. It's about the same size as the cinder block desk, only no cinder blocks, and it's got this nice rolling file. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Though even if I don't live in the same building, if I live in the area, all the concerns the listeners had of like, oh shit, and all the stuff I was planning, like I was trying to figure out.
There are other areas too. Don't just limit to yourself to where I am because I'm here.
I know. I found some places in Midtown that I'm looking at and some places on like Park Avenue.
Yeah.
I'd love to live on Park Avenue across from Central Park.
There are some places like big apartment buildings a little bit west of my office I could point, like they all have banners hanging on the side saying, move in here, call this number.
Yep. The other thing that makes it more complicated is that I don't get my raise until like next month, so I don't know how much I'm getting. I mean, I gotta get at least like 5%.
Yeah, I don't know if or what I'm getting, but I just got the form that's like the self-assessment form. I'm like, oh shit.
But pretty much I calculated if I get a 15% raise or more, I can afford like luxury.
You can already what I'm in is considered luxury.
I'm talking like luxury. It's weird,
real luxury, not just considered luxury.
Yeah, like all you non-New Yorkers, and I didn't realize this. You know how like you see in New York or whatever, they'll say like in the Bronx, luxury apartment versus normal apartment. It's not like the rest of the world. Normal apartment means there's no wall, the ceiling leaks, and there's a body in it. Luxury means normal apartment.
Yes, luxury means it's modern. It has new things. It's clean. There aren't rats. That's what luxury means.
Yep. And beyond that, there's basically decadent, like living in like down, not downtown, but like in those
where
areas.
Rich people live.
Or like Tudor City.
That's called a palace.
I looked in Tudor City.
If down in the financial district, there's a whole bunch of like ultra fancy apartments that are actually relatively cheap because people don't actually live down there because it's actually really boring. But there's big buildings with fancy apartments. So
yeah, my commute would be real easy. I take the 4 to Grand Central. I'm at work.
Yeah, and but you would, you could say I live on Wall Street.
But I work for Wall Street, but not on Wall Street.
Yeah, right. You should, take a look. There's some down there.
Yep. But mostly it's that if we're both living in the city, all the stuff I was putting together to do the show better with Skyping and like recording ahead on weekends. We just do the show like fucking normal again. But anyway, things of the day. It's Thursday. It's fast and loose. Geeknights for the karate fast gentlemen.
No.
This is one of the. We'll see how much longer.
Actually, I got one more thing to say that we should have included in the previous bit. Right? You were all talking like, oh, you should do the Horatio thing. Just go for it, right?
Yep.
Well, you know what the Horatio thing to do is?
Just run away to Europe.
No.
What's the Horatio thing?
More literally, the
Houseboat?
Horatio thing to do.
Houseboat?
You should get the houseboat.
Get a houseboat and just like illegally
Every time
park
he's
it.
on land, he's like, fuck these people on land, to the sea where people are normal again.
And normally in a show like that or in a book like that, you expect him in the sea to be like, all right, I'm at war at the sea. I can't wait for the war to end. Horatio was like, man, the sea is great. Land sucks. I don't ever want to go back. Fuck the land.
That's right. Fuck the land.
Like when the wars end, he's like, yes, the war ended. Ah, shit, I gotta go back home to my wife. Oh, good, she died of smallpox.
Back to the sea! Hooray! Can we please declare war?
But the Horatio thing was like buying land right now would have been a Horatio thing. If I can't buy land, then the next Horatio thing is just fuck it and move to the city and throw away all my shit.
Why don't you do the free yacht?
Because I don't know enough about yachts to deal with the free yacht. There's another free yacht problem. Get this. Do you know how many yachts there are for sale in parts of the world where basically people can't get their yachts out because the only real way out is past Somalia?
Ah,
There are luxury yachts like queuing up that
why
can't
can't
go
they
past.
sail like just straight out into the Indian Ocean, like far away from Somalia?
Very
and
few
then-
ships can deal with that sort of thing.
Oh, so if your boat isn't good enough, you won't make it through the rough
Yeah,
seas?
very few people have boats.
Well, then
Ships.
You're not Horatio, are you?
Yeah, we'll see. I was thinking about,
I
because
didn't know. Is the Indian Ocean that treacherous?
I'm not a sailor. We'll have to ask one of our more adventurous listeners.
I mean, that's not the West Indies. It's just the Indies. I mean,
You've never been to the West Indies.
I've been to the West Indies.
And let me tell you. Oh, Captain Laudanum. But anyway, things of the day. This was pointed out on the forum, and then it also appeared on FARC. And I have to talk about this kid because this kid is so, like, this guy gets it. This kid is going to grow up to be, if not
A Geeknights
exactly
listener.
like us, he is going to be awesome. Great things are going to come out of this
He's
kid.
one of us, definitely.
Because he's doing the same kind of shit I used to pull in high school, but now there's an internet to where everyone's going to find out about it.
Yeah.
Basically,
Go, kid, go.
this kid is 10 years old. His name is Will Phillips. The caption on his picture on this article says, Will Phillips, freedom lover. And it's not just that he's smart and cool. His parents are equally smart and cool, which is the rare thing.
Of course, you don't get a smart and cool person from non-smart and cool parents.
Occasionally you do, but then...
But I said that often.
Yep, and sometimes you get the kid who's not so smart and cool, but the parents who are cool. But this is the rare confluence of both, also given the situation to prove to the world that they are the way they are. And this whole thing just reeks of that scene in Donnie Darko when the parents get called to the principal's office and the principal explains what Donnie Darko did, and Dad's like, yeah, really? That's what he did? That's awesome. Basically, the kid is smart, which apparently is a big deal. Like the article is like,
I know, right?
yeah.
Oh, gee, a smart kid. And I just want to say this whole story, by the way, is just more fire, more wood on the fire for why we should separate people based on smartness in school.
More
the
beyond
smart
that,
kids-
I want this to be a movement, and I'm basically not going to stand up for the pledge if ever I'm in a situation where I should stand up for the pledge until gays can get married. Because that's kind of what this kid is doing. Basically, the whole story, you can read the article. He decided not to stand up for the pledge
How
anymore.
about the national anthem, though?
Well, I always stood up for the national anthem, but I didn't sing it or put my hand on my heart in protest of the war. Remember?
Yeah, that's what I always did. Is I always just stood up, but I didn't.
Yep, because you got to do
but
the
I
half. I put forth the gesture of like, I agree with everything that song stands for, but my country is not living up to it.
Yeah,
So I got to go halfway.
that's what I do on the national anthem. That's what I've been doing on the national anthem for like decades. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but basically, this kid was like, I'm not going to stand up for the pledge anymore because gay people aren't, there's no freedom and justice for all if gay people don't have freedom and justice.
Yeah.
And this is one of many times this kid has apparently taken a reasonable stand. And basically, the teachers and all the people around him acted like the way you expect. And the kid basically responded the way smart people do. And he's like, everyone around me is stupid. Everyone around me is loud, and they're overreacting, and they're reacting with their emotions. But I'm not backing down no matter what.
Yeah, go kid, go.
You should read this story. It warms every cockle that is in my heart.
We need to just go around the country, and it's easy to detect kids like this if you're smart.
Here's a quote. He's referring to the teacher that was like freaking out and yelling at him. Quote, and then quoting again because I'm quoting the kid and I'm quoting the article. She, the teacher, got a lot more angry and raised her voice and brought my mom and my grandma up, Will said. I was fuming, and I was too furious to really pay attention to what she was saying. After a few minutes, I said, quote, with all due respect, ma'am, you can go jump off a bridge. He was sent to the office and given an assignment to look up information about the flag and what it represents. And the kid came back, read the story. That's when the kid came back with the epic, smart, righteous, indignant snark. Oh, this kid is so cool. I want to interview him on Geeknights. I'm going to try to contact his parents and be like, can I interview your kid on my radio show?
There's probably all kinds of...
I promise I'm not a pedophile.
You have to make sure to let them know that we're like, this is not like the news trying to make a big thing, that this is just, nerds trying to praise other nerds and smart people.
If I can, I want to give this kid a TEDx talk.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would get us some publicity. Our TEDx is a 10-year-old speaker who's actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of the article says, and I quote, somewhere Thomas Jefferson smiles.
Who wrote this article?
I don't know who wrote the article, but it's on the Arkansas Times.
You could have easily written the article the opposite way, right? You could have written the article like, smart-ass kid won't say the pledge. Fuck this kid and his parents.
Yep, or even worse, gay kid protesting.
Thomas Jefferson rolls in his grave.
So that's my thing of the day. Will Phillips, if you find this podcast for whatever reason, you're a goddamn hero in my book.
Yeah. So if you don't like this kind of kid, you're not Geeknights material.
Even better, there's a picture of him.
Listening.
There's a picture of him. I'll bet he looks exactly like so many of the kids at like the summer camps with all the geeky shit you used to go to.
Maybe.
He's like this geeky little kid.
Yeah. So I got new TV, right? Because the episode's going to be about couches, right? Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I got the other thing was the TV. I guess we don't do an episode on TVs. That would be kind of silly.
Well, it'd be tough because I'm not up on the technology. I have to do research again.
Me either. So anyway, but one thing that I knew is that, basically everyone knows this, at least I hope you know this.
Everybody knows it?
Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
When you go to Best Buy or something, all the TVs are set on vivid mode. Or store demo mode.
Which is basically all the colors are super saturated and like everything just kind of looks wrong.
Basically what they do is they crank the contrast and the brightness and the saturation way up. That's why like when you go to the store, all the TVs are like, whoa, that's amazing, because it's just like the colors are just like, ah. The thing is, right, while it looks amazing psychologically speaking, if you actually watch TV like that with those settings on all the time, A, it'll hurt your eyes. It's kind of not comfortable. And two, the colors are just wrong. Like, and the thing is, you might not realize the colors are wrong, but they are so wrong. So I knew this, right? And so of course, when I went to the store to look at TVs, I switched them to normal mode instead of vivid mode. But that's not really enough. It's like you have to calibrate to get the actual correct colors on a display, whether it's a monitor or a television. And to do this, you need like some test patterns and some instructions and all these sorts of things. The only way to do it perfectly is with expensive equipment, but you can do it 90% perfectly with just some test patterns. So I went online. I was trying to find some test pattern discs to help me out, and all of them apparently suck. So it's like, and they were expensive too. They're like $20-$30. I'm like, fuck that, right? So I didn't even bother. I just put my TV in normal mode and let it be that way, and I'll calibrate it if I have to later. It's too much effort. Regardless, I found this awesome thread on the High Def forum, right? And what they have here are pictures of uncalibrated TVs and calibrated TVs side by side, right? So it's like you look at one picture and it's an uncalibrated TV and you're like, oh, that looks all right. You know, that's a high definition picture, lots of bright colors. And then you look at the calibrated TV and then you compare the two at the same time and you're like, oh my God, how come in the calibrated one it's not white, it's blue? You know, the difference is just like, oh shit. And so if you are one of those, because someone on Twitter was like skeptical, they were like, yeah, those calibration discs don't do shit. And I was like, no, actually, they really do something. They're sort of necessary. You don't know what you're talking about. So here is the proof. If you do not believe that your TV has the quote wrong colors coming out of it, then you need to look at all of the awesome pictures in this thread. It's actually really long, and like there's a lot of people, you know, calibrating different TVs. There's like 5 pages worth of you know, posts and images, and also it's pretty good, and it's fun to look at also, like
Yeah.
different things here.
Ah, crap. You know what I didn't take into account? New York City income tax. I'll have to pay an extra $4,000 a year in taxes.
Yeah, I'm paying the extra.
That's
I
a
already
lot.
filled out the
$4,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's monies.
It's like $1,500 plus 3.2% of all the money over 50 grand.
Yeah, something like that.
Huh. Oh well.
Yep. It's the cost of living.
Well, I refuse to live in Jersey, so.
Yep. There's no way I'm living there.
Oh my God. One of my coworkers was even like, yeah, why don't you just move to Jersey? And I was like, do you like living in Jersey? And he was like, you know, Jersey's not so bad.
Especially after the Bergen debacle.
Ah, fuck you,
Considering
Bergen.
if you're gonna commute to New York, like Bergen is the county, you know. It's
If
like,
I was
what
in
other-
Bergen, I would do something very specific. I would work from home one day, right?
Sunday.
For a New York company. Now it's interstate commerce. Then I would sue. I would email the city or send them a certified letter saying, I worked this day. Bring charges against me. And then when they did, I'd sue them. Interstate commerce.
It'd be interesting.
But I pointed out-
I would just do straight up defiance. I would open a store and open it on
I
Sunday.
pointed out something even better because in my department, everyone other than my boss lives in Jersey in that county. You know, once a week, like every now and then, one of us is on support, and if we get paged, we have to work. It is illegal for them to work on Sunday.
You looked at the law. It actually
Yeah.
says that?
Yeah.
Even
If you live in Paramus, especially.
uh-huh.
So, I don't know. I don't know how to. I told them they should take it to our boss and be like, "Yeah, I can't respond to pages on Sundays. Sorry, law."
Yeah, that would be interesting because, right, instead of, you know, them, the employees suing, what they should do is they should just be like, sorry, I can't respond to pages on Sundays, right? And then your company will do something about it. Like, hey, our employees who happen to live in your town are technically not allowed to, you know, do work on Sunday when they're on call. We're coming after you, you know? They would probably just, all that would happen is they would pass an exception in the county, you know, legislature. Anyway.
Huh? But then, yeah, I'm sure you could use that exception to do awesome stuff like sell things.
Keep the IKEA open? Yeah, anyway.
Anyway,
So
the Metamucil.
Couches. Oh, the Metamucil. Oh, shit.
You keep for every time. That's why I say Metamucil because I think you need it.
So, Meta-Minute. I was actually looking at some fiber pills in the store the other day.
Are you having some pooping troubles?
I was just looking at some fibers, you know.
Yeah. No one just looks at fiber supplements.
So,
No one's just like, I'm going to look at some fiber supplements. That's a fun thing to do. They think either I haven't pooped in a long time or I pooped way too frequently.
So I was looking, and the kind that you have the powder, I don't want to do. That's nasty. I don't want to do that, right? So I was looking at the pill-related ones, right? And I'm looking, and it's like, okay, pills. It's like $15. You get a whole bottle full of pills, like 100 or so, right?
Yep.
So I look at the instructions. You know what the instructions say?
What do they say?
Take 6 pills a day.
Huh.
And you know how much fiber that is?
Not enough?
How many? I guess how much it is.
I'm going to go with 70% of your daily recommended dose.
How many grams?
I don't know. You wouldn't ask unless it was really high or really low. 1,000,000.
4.
What? 4 grams.
4 grams is how much I could get with like 2 pieces of bread. So it's like, I'll just use a different bread that has fibers in it and fuck this freaking, you know.
Wow. So anyway,
5
Meta Minute.
episodes.
The details will be forthcoming, but we can at least tell you guys all now. I have officially gotten a license to run a TEDx.
Dun dun dun.
So we are going to be running a TEDx in Connecticut, and in the summer there will be many more details to come. I have to clear the press release with the TED organization before I issue a press release and get all the details. But we're gonna run it. We're only going to invite the members of Connecticon for the first of these TEDx's.
So you should become a member of Connecticon, and then you will get an invite to TEDx.
Yes, and if this goes well, you can foresee many more TEDx's run by myself and Scott.
Mm-hmm.
If this goes poorly, I don't know. Maybe the TED organization will shoot us. I don't know how it works.
I don't know what's the worst case. What's the worst they
The
can do?
worst
to
case
us?
scenario is I commit seppuku and shame because I've sullied the TED name.
No, but I mean, can they like sue us? What
Nah,
can they do to us?
basically, if we screw it up, they will not give us future licenses for TEDx's.
But that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's fine.
Unless we defame them or libel them or slander them.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah,
if
considering-
anything, we will libel them with false praise.
Yes, we're like, they cured my cancer with their lectures.
Uh, you know that anyway.
So if you
the book club selection is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just the first book, none of the other books, none of the, you can read those if you want, but we will not discuss them. Only The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So read that book, and there will be an episode discussing it in the near future.
But I want to talk about the TEDx for one more minute. One more musel.
Okay.
So if
I hope
you
we don't get sued by Metamucil. Good. Just
if
call it the
you
Meta Minute already. Or
want
the Meta Moment.
to give a TEDx talk for us, don't apply. We're not going to be accepting submissions. However, if you want us to get a specific person who you think would give a good TEDx talk, email us at geeknights@frontrowcrew.com and we will consider your nomination.
Mm-hmm.
If you can think of someone who you think you want to see,
I just thought of someone.
I thought of like 5 people already.
I just thought of someone.
Oh my god, I want to invite some really weird people.
I'll tell you right. Remember, when we're done with the show, after we hang it up, just say, Scott, tell me the person you thought of during the show, and I'll tell you.
I swear to God, if you don't remember, I swear to God.
I think I can't really forget. I mean, it was
John Taylor Gatto?
no, but that's a good choice. Bring that one up.
Is he even alive?
Yes.
I don't even know. Anyway, the only other Meta Minute thing, obviously, Geek Nights is still fast and loose with Skype. We don't know how much longer that'll go on, but we'll get back to our regularly scheduled audio once our personal lives settle down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So, couches.
Yeah, I mean, so I just bought this couch from IKEA.
It's a really nice couch. It's like super modern design, like the nice stylish low couch with the chase on the side of it.
Well, it's basically what it is, right? It's an L-shaped couch, but it's not an L-shaped like the curved ones where someone's going to sit sideways. I mean, you could, but basically everyone's supposed to, 3 seats, everyone sits forward, but the rightmost seat is long. So you don't even have an ottoman. It's just basically a long seat. You just lay down. It's like a little, chase. So the right seat is long and the left seats are just normal seats. And then, there's 3 cushions and it's nice and square, right? It's this dark gray color, which is, it's good because all the other furniture in the room is black.
Well, the cool thing about it was that it's also a queen size bed, but we're hanging out at
You
Scott's
think it's
apartment.
queen size or you think it's full size?
It's queen
I
size.
can't really tell.
It's queen size.
All right.
But the thing is, we were laying on it, right? Or sitting on it. And I'm looking at it. I'm trying to figure out, I expected it to unfold in a certain way to become the bed. The way it unfolded was not at all what I expected, but was in retrospect a much smarter way to do it.
Yeah, basically, it's an L shape. So you have to fill in that area, in the middle of the L to make a square. So you pull out basically underneath the non-L part, it's basically a love seat with with a chase attached to it at the hip, right? Underneath the love seat, you just pull this box straight out, and then it goes straight up. And that's it. Ta-da.
Ta-da!
You don't have to unfold anything. It just comes out and up and then goes down and in. That's it. And it's pretty nice because there isn't really an under the couch situation so much. so you can't really lose things under there very easily. The other thing is that the long part lifts up and the storage underneath. So you can put the cushions in there when, when you're using it in bed mode, and you can also put things under there like, store things, which is good because it's like, you don't have enough closets in a tiny apartment. You can have some storage right in the middle of the room that doesn't take up any extra space. Like imagine it, like think about a living room. A couch that's big takes up most of the living room. Imagine if like the inside of the couch, you could just put stuff. It's like, damn. Like Rim would always shove things under the couch in Beacon, that didn't belong there.
I was storing them there, like my weights and some Scott Johnson socks.
And that's considered like inappropriate and messy. But putting it in when you actually have a storage bin like this, then it's not considered inappropriate or messy. It's considered okay and cool, even though it's basically the same exact thing, storing stuff under the couch.
Of course, I do recall way back we moved into Colony, the apartment that Scott and I lived in at RIT, which was basically luxury compared to most of the other apartments at RIT. And it was luxury compared to what I expected.
Well, it was the middle of the road, right? I mean, because the UC was luxury, but you had less personal space.
What did you say?
Capstone?
Yeah, I mean, UC, what the hell is that?
I didn't say UC. What do you say? What's UC? The Perkins was slightly newer and fancier, but
at the same time, kind of dumpier. Like it was weird.
It depended on which. They were all different and strange. Anyway,
but then there was River Knoll, aka
River Knoll was a hole, and Racket Club
was our. Oh my God, Racket Club was like.
Didn't they close the Racket Club?
Racket Club was a collection of like 50s temporary housing. Like these really, really, really nasty old like 50s era townhouses in like a suburb. And then on the hill was an abandoned hotel that RIT had converted into dorms.
Yeah, then there was the RIT Inn and Conference Center, which was basically RIT bought this Marriott and turned it into the RIT Hotel. And what they did was they were like, oh shit, we don't have enough housing for all these students, but some of these students have guaranteed housing from us, so we'll put them in the hotel that we own.
That was a mixed blessing for those kids.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, I get to live in a hotel for free. Oh, I have to live in this faraway hotel.
Yep. But the thing is, in Colony, we had like this nice one-bedroom apartment with a separate kitchen, and like it had a foyer kind of thing, and it was actually pretty big, all things considered. Mm-hmm. But I remember we moved in, and it looked like a real house. We had like the piano, we had a couch and a love seat, we had all real furniture.
We had that old kitchen table for my parents.
Yep. Like, it was weird.
That was the kitchen table of my youth. I was sad to see it go.
Like, you walked around Colony, and you look in our apartment, like, through the window, and you saw, like, a nice house, like, where normal, actual people would live. Like, a family could have been living in that. Mm-hmm. You look in the window next door, and you would see, like, a table that had been broken in two, and the pieces were still laying around the room. And
there was a hole punched in the wall.
And they didn't have any furniture except the broken table and some, like, coffee table chair things, and, like, a beanbag that looked like it had vomit stains on it. And as you walked around Colony, every apartment looked like that. As far as I could tell, we were the only people in Colony who had furniture.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was basically they took dorm stuff and they just had a lot more space, so it was spread out and sparse.
Yeah.
And it was basically like living it's like, why don't you just live in the dorms, dude? Why did you even bother, coming to
What
Colony?
amazed me was like how often I look and see just like broken furniture laying on the floor, like a knocked over desk that no one ever picked back up.
Yeah, all right.
No one had curtains except us either, as far as I could tell.
Some people did. It was mixed.
Well, we only had actual curtains in the living room. In the bedroom, we had ghetto curtains. And in the kitchen, we had that bed sheet that I hung over the window.
Yeah, but at least there was something to hang it on over the window.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I am now, that's my problem, is I've got curtains. I just can't get the freaking bar up there. I'm going to try some self-tapping screws. I'm going to go investigate that line of...
But the only reason we really had furniture is because my dad basically gave me all the furniture he didn't need anymore. So he gave me that wine cabinet and like a bunch of bookshelves and a bed and that couch and that love seat. The sad thing, the couch and love seat, like they were great. That made our apartment the place to hang out for many years at RIT. It was like the center of the crew. But
that couch basically died and we left it behind.
Well, we left the love seat. No, we left the couch behind. Yeah, you're right.
We left the couch. We brought the love seat. The love seat's still in Beacon.
Here's the deal. The couch and love seat were white with a floral print. by the time we took them out of Colony, they were basically dark gray. Dark
Yeah, something like that.
gray. Surprisingly dark and
Not as dark as
dirty.
my new couch, which is dark on purpose, but still, they were not good.
They're so ruined. Like, I feel like I should just burn the love seat that I've got in this
Well,
apartment
in
house right now.
fact, outside of Colony, once there was a burning couch.
You know, it's weird how to this day, that memory, I don't think, stupid college kids, it's kind of like this heartwarming memory of the time in my life when I lived in what was effectively here is Greenwood. When just
Yeah, it's like there was a time in your life where you could look out your window and there would be a couch on fire on the grass right outside the window, and that was perfectly normal and acceptable. It's just like, oh, a burning couch.
yeah, I wonder who did
Whereas
that.
If that happened, like, anywhere, like outside of like a college residential setting, it would be like, what the fuck? A burning couch? Holy shit!
I remember I
It's
stood.
over 9,000 degrees.
So I remember, like, I walked past the burning couch and I'm like, huh. And I just went into the apartment, like, didn't think anything of it. I was like, Scott, there's a burning couch. He's like, really? We walk outside,
Wait.
there it is. We're like, huh,
It was
cool.
far enough away from any buildings to actually set anything on fire.
Eventually,
It was far-
campus safety
far
came
away-
over. The campus safety guy, I remember, because by then the fire had gone out. It was just like the skeleton of a couch and like char all around.
Yep.
And he had this look of, are you serious? These, god damn it, you kids. But that was all. Like, it was.
Who's gonna get rid of this couch?
I kind of miss those days of just, the weirdos just doing their weird shit around you. Like hearing the screaming and banging
That's
in the middle of the
why
night.
I really want to, if I had $1 jillion, still, I would buy an apartment building or a compound or some kind of residential condo, something, and make it geeks only somehow, get around the housing laws. Everyone else gets around them. So I might
Yeah,
as
that
well get
building
around.
you're living in now, imagine if it was only geeks.
I know, right? It would be so
You know what
freaking
happened? You'd be able to put stuff in those hallways. Geeky stuff.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't put
Yeah.
I don't think I can put anything in the hallway.
Yeah.
I'd like to put just like a plant out. I could put a doormat.
To this
have
day,
to
I
get it-
think you want a plant there just because you read Steppenwolf and he talks about that plant in the like stoop of
no,
the
I
apartment.
want a plant there just because it'd be less echoey.
Ah.
But no, I was looking at doormats, and I can't just get any doormat. I have to get a nerdy doormat. There's one from ThinkGeek that says there's no place like 127.0.0.1.
I've seen that. That's a good one.
It's $40.
That's not worth $40.
No. I might just end up getting a normal cheap one that's totally lame.
Thing is, it's weird how the culture of
But
couches,
functional.
like the culture and style of couches, like in any like nice city and apartments or like anywhere trendy, most people have like the modern or the ultra modern couches. Like they have the low, squared off kind of couches. But you go to like any house, like an actual house outside of a city, and people have the same like L-shaped kind of couch, but it's like the curvy shape with the really puffy, sometimes the floral print.
It's
It'll have,
because
like,
they have more room to put it in. If you have a big ass living room, you can get like a big ass sectional thing, no problem, and fit it, and it will work well in your giant room.
They
But
don't
if you
really
have
work that well. We had one when I was a kid, and no one ever sat at the corner of it. It was just wasted space, and all the space behind
really?
it was
'Cause
wasted
I've
too.
sat in the corner of them. Like, some of
Like,
my
we had a
relatives
couch
have, and
that you could seat,
basically,
like-
when we go over to their house, the whole couch fills up with people.
When I
And
was a
every
kid,
sing-
the couch in the living room, as opposed to the family room, had like a queen size bed that came out of it, or the part where the queen size bed came out of could seat like 3 or 4 people. Then it had the corner bit that no one ever sat on, except maybe the dogs occasionally. And then it had 2 more seats with a little island between them, and the island had cup holders and a place for a phone and stuff, and both of
Yep.
those seats reclined.
Yep, I've seen those. That's exactly, yeah, my relatives have something similar to that. And when basically the family, when we go over there, it fills up completely with people sitting on it. And every time someone gets up, someone else goes, oops, spot, and jumps onto it.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes.
Yep. It'll be weird to not have big couches like that all over the place because I can't, even if I get an apartment in the city, unless I make, like, my raise is crazy and I make like $300,000 or $400,000 a year, I can't afford a place big enough to have like 20 people hanging out in it. I mean, look at now when like people come over to hang out in Beacon. We've got like, the couch and the love seat, and they're both full of people. People are sitting in the chair. People are sitting on like every surface and every like item, and people are also sitting on the floor, and still some people are standing.
People are going to the kitchen. People are in other rooms. People are on the stairs. People are in the bathroom and the toilet.
Yep, New Year's is even worse. God.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. New Year's.
I'm talking about just like even a game at this point when we play Burning Wheel.
Yeah, the other thing about couch, right, is that a sectional couch, right, it's like, whatever. But if you got a lot of space. But the modern couches, not only are they square and modern looking, but if you have a small amount of space, you need to use it efficiently. And it's a lot easier to just imagine in your brain, ways to use space efficiently when things are square. If things are rounded or puffy, it's like
Well, I
even if
realized
it's
something
not
else.
a less efficient use of space, it's hard to calculate the more efficient use of space. It's like it was hard to calculate the way to curve the stealth bomber, but it wasn't hard to calculate the F-117 that was more flat and angular.
Honto, honto, rock and roll bomba. But I had this crazy revelation, right? So, with your ultra modern couch, you did what all the trendy people do, which is smart, which I wish we'd thought of at fucking RIT, is put
Yep.
the couch in the middle of the room. Because
Well, that's something is like, I was basically, right? Every time I've ever put arranged furniture, basically my plan has always been put all the furniture against the wall, bookcase against the wall, desk against the wall, couch against the wall, TV against the wall, right? And the only thing I wouldn't put against the wall would be like coffee table, because or sometimes I'd think, okay, the recliner can sort of be a little bit inwards,
Yep, but
And everything would always be against the wall. So my limitation on furniture would always be, oh, I guess kitchen table wouldn't be against the wall either.
That's separate.
Right?
Kitchen doesn't count. But every house I lived in was the same way. Like all the houses as a kid, with one exception, but I'll get to that because that's part of the revelation. Like they were all like that. Everything went around the walls. We moved to the colony. What's the first thing we did? We put all the furniture against the walls. And then a year later or 2 years later, we shifted it all like 180 degrees along the walls.
Right. So I was looking in the IKEA catalog and I see it's like everything in the IKEA catalog looks amazing. Like I want to just, if I had $1 zillion, like even though IKEA stuff is not the most expensive, best quality furniture in the universe, it's functional, it works, and the price is good, And it actually looks really great in the catalog. I would, even if I was mega rich, right? I would just like have IKEA people come in and I'd be like, fill this house with furniture, make it look like the catalog, right? And I looked in the catalog, and every time I saw a couch, it was never against the wall. It was always in the middle of the room, sort of, a far away. And then behind it, there'd be bookcases. And I was like, oh, duh.
So here's my
That's-
revelation. Here's why we never thought of that. I thought back.
Because we didn't look at the IKEA catalog for a half hour thinking, how the hell do I do this?
It's not just that. I went back to the house I lived in, 4185 Harvard Street in like Detroit.
Harvard Street?
Harvard Street. And in that house, we had a pretty big living room, and we had a couch against the wall, one wall, and basically we had like a foyer with like this cool French glass door, like to get into the house. You walk in, and it's like a kind of a rectangular room, kind of long. So there was a couch against one wall, a big couch, and the love seat was perpendicular to the couch, facing away from the front door and against one of the walls on one edge, but otherwise in the middle of the room. So there was like 10 feet of space behind it toward the front of the house. And so it basically made like this L-shaped area that was the living room, and behind the couch was like more space.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot like what you did in your apartment if you had multiple couches, basically, and a bigger space.
Yep.
But the space behind the couch was really never used for anything. You want to know why? Non-ultra modern or modern couches are really, really tall. And when they're tall like that, it disrupts the flow of the room, and it feels like more of this boundary. And people end up like they don't walk behind it. They don't see stuff
But also
behind
it depends on like how much room there is on the side of the couches.
If there's more room, like enough room, it's basically like a separate room. But if you have an ultra-modern house, it feels like the same room if the couch is low like that. I think that's why we never thought of it. Had we had a low couch, we would have done it without even thinking. We would have been like, duh, that's where you put it.
Yeah. Anyway, can we pause the show for a second? Because I have to poop real bad.
Okay. Have a good poop?
It was all right.
Okay, then. So where were we?
Talking about couches.
Couches.
I think we should talk about the fucker. Just,
So we needed a couch. Basically, we were going to take that crappy-ass love seat with
Yeah,
us.
we're moving from Rochester to Beacon, and we were going to bring both of those couches with us. The ones that had turned from white to not white.
So, aside from the whole story of the move, which that could be a whole show in and of itself if we didn't tell it already, that was a crazy time driving that truck. I think I knocked over every corner trash can in my path in Rochester until I got it on the freeway.
Yeah. But anyway, we were going to bring these 2 couches, but then a couch came out of nowhere.
Emily's parents were like, oh, we have this old sleeper sofa that's really nice. You can take it if you want. So we were like, fuck yeah. So we basically threw that one couch away. Like, we just left it outside immediately.
No, I thought we just left it there and Kevin kept it.
Yeah, Cat's effectively throwing it away, leaving it there, that couch.
Yeah.
I think he said he threw it out.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not keeping this.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we drove out to Emily's parents' house. We got this couch, and it was a sleeper sofa, kind of an old one, really nice. It was exactly what we needed. It weighed approximately 9,000 pounds.
Yeah, because it was the old school style. It had a whole mattress in it that folded in under the cushions. So you take the cushions off and then you unfold this bed, and the bed is like this, has this big metal folding contraption going on, and it it's got this big bed frame basically inside an already heavy couch. So it's like, that weighs a lot. And also, it was long and unwieldy and difficult to lift because, you got this frame isn't really held in there that well.
Now, we hadn't thought our clever plan through, so we wouldn't have been able to deal with this thing on our own. But luckily, Pete took the day off work and actually helped us move in. So I recall us trying to lift that thing and get it into the house. And immediately Pete was like, all right, let's move this fucker. Fuck! Jesus, fuck Christ! Fuck me in there! The word fuck was said more than any other word for the next half hour after we decided to move that thing.
And thus the couch became the fucker.
The worst thing is we finally, after a lot of work and a lot of time, we get it just into the couch, or into the house, and
it bangs against the wall.
We immediately, bang it into the wall, but it's a big, gash in the wall. We had to fix that and clean it later.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, great, we just moved into this house. We already ruined it. So we manhandled the thing after another, 10 minutes into the living room against the wall. And Pete's like, not only am I not moving it beyond this point, but I am never again in my life moving a sleeper sofa. So help me, God, who does not exist in heaven. Fuck you. Fuck this couch. I'm sleeping on it to assert my dominance.
That's right.
And he did sleep on that couch. And he asserted his dominance.
Yes, he's dominant over that couch.
Fuck, I don't know how we're going to get that couch out of here. We'll be like, Free, if you can get it out the door.
I have a solution.
Leave it?
Set it on fire.
Then it'll be easier. Nah, because most of the weight is that steel frame. The steel frame's going to weigh just as much if we burn it.
You could remove that part and just only take the rest of the couch.
Just the stuffing and the upholstery?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leave the bed behind.
This was a cop-out show, and I think we're running out of steam. Let's just end it. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.